What's up?
It's Markell.
And your boy Ronnie.
And we're here with the TV news of the week. We are going to drop the news on you. We're going to give you some reviews. We're going to give you some tasty treats. We're going to give it to you in some small little bites so that you can take it and continue the conversation with us online or below within the comment section. So with that said, let's jump right in. So if you're listening to this right now, the Watchmen first episode has already premiered and the second one may be on its way.
And after the first 2 minutes of watching the first episode, you were like,
wow.
Holy shit, what the hell did I just watch?
What just happened? Well, at the same time that, you know, there's been some interesting twists and turns within the Watchmen TV series, and we've got a chance to check it out, and we want to let you know your score from 1 to 10 so far with the first episode. It's a pilot episode.
First episode going into the show. I'm going to give it a solid 10.
Solid 10?
Solid 10. There's some good television. There's a lot packed into this one episode. The characters are crafted very well done. The chemistry between all the characters is phenomenal. You got Regina King, Don Johnson, got Louis Gossett Jr., and that's just like Jeremy Irons, and that's just like not even the full cast that you get.
I'll be honest, I give it about a 9 just because I don't really like what... I understand this is an alternate universe. Let me make sure we make that very clear. This is not a shared universe of the original Watchmen.
This is more like 30 years into the future, and they're using tidbits of the original to create a whole new story.
Correct. Because, so the original series came out in the 80s with Alan Moore. This series, the only small thing that I knock it down from a 10 to maybe like a 9 is simply what I feel the way that they're treating the Rorschach character is making people feel like other Rorschach character was racist.
Okay, yeah,
and it's
that's definitely debatable. That's definitely debatable. I'm not sure. I have to go back and check, but yeah, because the face of the villains in this series, I believe they're called the Seven. I believe. But they're
basically white supremacists.
They wear a Rorschach's mask, and that's kind of like their power. But that's questionable.
So that's all we're gonna say so far. We don't want to spoil anything. This is our spoiler-free review.
Definitely want to check it out.
I give it a 9.
I didn't know. The only thing I will say, and this is not really spoiling it because what the show is about. I didn't know that it was gonna highlight and focus on race so much. That's overall what it's about. But
ultimately, from what we've learned, Ronnie got a chance. You can check out his review over at Ventures and Poor Taste.
Yep.
He actually got a chance to sit down with the cast and to ask them questions about the show. And we discovered that the show is loosely going to be based on a real event that happened called Black Wall Street. If you don't know, take your ass to Wikipedia and check it out. You're on YouTube, so you might as well just hit the button and just check it out. So it's no big deal.
I'd just say that this show definitely hits a lot of chords that people don't normally like to discuss.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But with that said, definitely check out Watchmen. It is definitely a great highlight of the week for our TV news.
It's on HBO, I believe, Sundays.
Yes, on Sunday nights.
So it'll be replacing Game of Thrones.
I was going to say that. Yeah, it's just like now you have a little bit of something. There's not any dragons in this show.
But just as impactful so far. Just as impactful.
HBO
Regina King is killing it.
She's kicking butt and taking names. Other TV news, kind of TV, but also within the streaming world, it's just kind of crossing over and becoming the same thing. I got a chance to sit down and watch Dolomite.
Oh.
Dolomite is my name.
Way down in the jungle deep.
Way down in the jungle deep.
Does he actually say that?
Absolutely.
I got it. Check
it is totally just a little backstory on it. I thought the movie really great. About 2 hours. Exactly about an hour and 55, so close to 2 hours. The movie is great from beginning to end. Oscar-wise, I don't necessarily know if there was any scenes that stuck out to me that were like, that's an Oscar moment right there. But again, I'm not the Academy, so...
What I do know about Rudy Ray Moore is that it does highlight like how this guy made his own path to success.
Yes, right? Absolutely. Do you know? I'll ask you this: do you know the quick story of Rudy Ray Moore? Like, do you know how he came up with the character Dolomite?
No, I don't know that. That's the big thing I do know about him. I just know that like it's kind of like when they say knock down the door to success. He created his own door.
He kept getting no's and door slammed in his face, so and he made a way.
So he said, "I'm gonna make a way. I'm getting it here."
This movie is very inspirational, especially in this time frame where you can do things like make a YouTube video or a podcast, and you could, just grab a camera, do it, put it online, and people would check it out, subscribe, and it becomes some form of success. For him, Rudy, the character you meet, or Rudy Ray Moore, is a struggling comedian who had some success and is now kind of down in his luck, and decides to take what I could only describe when I first saw it, and I said, "Holy shit! Is that how he came up with Dolomite?" Do you remember the Chuck Norris jokes?
Yeah, I remember.
And you remember how the Chuck Norris jokes were just like, one of my favorite Chuck Norris jokes is that Chuck Norris invented a giraffe by uppercutting a horse.
Yeah.
Just stupid little things like that. They're within that society, and within society, Dolomite specifically had that kind of. Dolomite wasn't a person, but there were stories like that existed where they were just so hilarious. So Rudy Ray Moore said, "Yo, these are really great. What if somebody went on stage and really acted these things out? Instead of them just being stories told around garbage campfires in the 70s with a bunch of, drunk black winos, somebody could go on stage and really make a show of this where people are really telling these stories about, how badass this guy was, and basically creating, a Jules type character from Pulp Fiction." So he decided to do it. He worked at a comedy club where he was an opener, and he was an opener for a band, which Craig Robinson is the lead of that band. And he decided one day he knew Craig Robinson, to come on stage with this wild, funky outfit and matching sequin stuff, and started telling these stories that he heard from a wino that used to come into his job. And he started telling these stories in such a way that he was literally in the mirror just making this character up way down in the jungle deep.
So his real life persona wasn't more so like Dolomite.
Not at all.
It was just a persona that he created.
It was a character that he created. And I was sitting there is this how he created Dolomite? Holy crap. And it's all real. A little backstory from Eddie Murphy, he told in a recent interview, was that he actually spoke to Rudy Ray Moore. He's been trying to get this movie made for 16 years.
Yeah.
And he literally talked to him, and he's like, "Oh, he wants to see this." And finally, he got a chance to meet him. God rest his soul, Rudy Ray Moore is no longer with us. And, the movie finally got made, and it is an
he's
inspiration.
Not alive? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, Rudy Ray Moore is no longer with us. And he literally is... it's an inspirational movie. It's a lot of cursing. There's a lot of, slurs and all different kinds of things that are thrown around. But yeah, he died recently. He died in 2008. And he was alive for a very long time. He was born, 1927? So, it was a really great movie to me. I think Eddie Murphy has definitely put himself in a place of comedy, but also giving you that serious... It was a little bit of comedy, but there was also that seriousness of the character he played in Dreamgirls. That's the closest that I could bring it to.
Gotcha.
So my review of this movie, I give this movie a solid 10 because I didn't have any problems with it. I learned a lot from this movie about a real person, and I laughed from, beginning to end, because there's a lot of comedy that's not essentially supposed to be comedy, but it turns into it. And again, it's very inspirational for anybody who wants to get out there and just make it happen. So that's my review for...
You mean like us?
Yeah, there you go. Ding. That's a nice little cheesy spot he just threw in there. So that's my review for Dolomite. And finally, I think for our last TV news before we wrap up, is going to be Batwoman. Episode 1 is coming around.
What'd you think?
I got a chance to meet, so to give you a little background on this, I got a chance to meet Ruby Rose. I got a chance to meet the cast. We both got a chance to meet the cast at New York Comic Con.
I didn't get a chance to meet Ruby Rose.
You didn't get a chance to meet Ruby Rose.
I'll meet her though.
One day. She's a really nice lady. She talked in an interview that was at AOL Build in New York. And she was very nice. She told us about this stunt that she did where she had to wind up getting surgery because she almost got paralyzed. It was crazy.
Got killed.
This series for me it was just a pilot, but it feels like it's going to be a slow burn. So okay. I gave the series about an 8. I don't think that...
Okay, 8's still
the
good.
series, the comic, again, because this is basically based on the comic. It's loosely based on the comic because...
And does it fit right in with Arrow and everything else? Did you feel like it fit right into those other shows? Okay, you could see this. Because
it has its own tone.
Because that's another thing that makes all of those shows really great is that they all kind of fit right in as a puzzle piece, and I would say they're not the same show, but they fit well.
I would say no, and the only reason I would say no is because I feel like it feels more like Supergirl to me, that it's its own thing that a universe can be spawned out of, which is not a bad thing at all.
You think it's going to try to create its own universe?
It can create its own universe because she has her own legacy and her own lineage of characters. I'm looking forward to seeing more from the villain that's coming up, Alice. So if you guys know anything about Alice in the comic books, she's a pretty good villain.
Alice from Luther?
No, not Alice. Not Alice. Okay. No, not Alice from Luther. Okay. This is a different Alice. Very crazy and dangerous Alice. Yeah. But again, my review for it is 8. It's like it feels like a slow burn.
I gotta watch that one.
They're taking the approach. What most I can say about the show, without giving anything away, is that it is taking the approach of Daredevil in the terms of the slow burn with a certain particular thing. I'm not going to tell you exactly what, but it's a certain particular thing. If you watch Daredevil on Netflix, there's a certain particular thing that they're building up to. And it's going to be very interesting to see it all come together. So I'm looking forward to more episodes of Batwoman. That's all I got for TV news, man. Do you have anything else for me?
That's all I got.
That sounds like it's about time for us to go ahead and wrap this thing up and take it on home.
Yep. What's up, guys?
Hey, thank you for watching the video.
Did you like it?
Did you?
You probably just like the parts of me in it.
You really like the parts of me in it.
But anyway, if you like that video, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button there.
And if you don't, we have a bag of kittens with a baseball bat. And if you don't subscribe,
wow,
you know what's going to happen.
We're going to leave those kittens alone because we don't want any problems.